When I was 14 years old, I wanted to be this guy. Not what you expected, right? That's Andre Segovia. And I wanted to be him. 5 hours a day, me and my guitar, drilling arpeggios and scales over and over again, chasing the master. Classical guitar was my life. And the night I saw my hero in concert, I was lit up. Some people called me a child prodigy. And leaving that concert, I was abruptly reminded that how I saw myself and how other people saw me was different. Because 15 minutes after leaving Carnegie Hall, I was thrown to the ground by police officers and held at gunpoint. And the police officers that surrounded me that night didn't know me as a classical guitarist. No, they just thought I fit a profile. That's many Black Americans' experience. That has been my experience. This dissonance between who we are and who we are cast as by society. And that night, I was cast as a criminal. And many days and nights since then. And maybe that's why, instead of becoming a classical guitarist, I became an actor. Because as an actor, I found for the first time a way to flip that power dynamic. I got to be in control of the characters I played. And I had the freedom to be whoever I wanted. And I've played some amazing people. A Moroccan prince who was obsessed with power and at the same time terrified at the possibility of losing it. An African terrorist who lost his entire family to war and believed that revenge was the only thing left that could give his life meaning. And a retired alcoholic cop who, after seeing so much ugliness, drifted to the dark side of policing. No matter who I portrayed, I saw that if I could step inside another person's experience, if I really did the work of getting me out of the way and bringing them to life, their stories, their words, their ideas, I changed. Because whether I agreed with what that character did and said or not, whether I thought it was right or wrong, in order to be a good actor, well, a great actor, I had to be willing to embrace their truth. I had to be willing to listen to them. And when I listened, really listened, I changed. So if it was possible for me to change my own thinking, to even humanize people who had dehumanized me, then I could no longer believe that oppression was an immovable object. So what really happened for me? Do we all need to become trained actors? Wouldn't hurt. But no, I don't think so. In fact, my personal journey is proof of something very simple and highly transferable, an innate skill every one of us already possesses that just might have the potential to save our species from extinction. So let me show you. So here's a picture of my world pretty much a fair amount of every day. Now, I don't know each of you personally, but I'm willing to bet every human being watching this lives some part of their lives experiencing reality like this. A polarized mental model where you're on one side or the other, a violent play of opposites. And this is not just happening between our ears. This is our map for navigating our world, our choices, our relationships, our businesses, even the natural world. And when we operate in this model, this mindset, we are trapped in opposition, and there's no way out. This is the absence of connection and learning, the negation of our humanity, and this is the level of discourse in our society right now. A model that is rigid and fixed, where getting out of that boundary feels impossible. So, How do we shift out of this play of opposites into something shared? Well, you might say love is the answer. You might say education. Maybe travel. Faith. How about science? Huh? Yeah, that all makes sense. But my answer, my experience leads me to a different answer. My answer is dissonance. The cognitive and emotional discomfort we all experience when we hold two or more contradictory beliefs at the same time. I'm going to say that again. The cognitive and emotional discomfort we all experience when we hold two or more contradictory beliefs at the same time. Not what you were expecting, right? I mean, even the word dissonance, it sounds like we need to hold our ears and brace for chaos. But dissonance is not a call to arms, and it's not a weapon to prove my rightness and your all's complete and total wrongness. It's a place where both sides can challenge what they know to be true about the other. It's a call to real curiosity. Because the way out of this trap isn't to move to the edges. The way out, I believe, is to investigate what reality looks like on the other side. Now, that's easier said than done. In fact, it's so uncomfortable to put yourself in the shoes of a perceived rival or enemy that most of us, even if we agree in principle, are too scared or too proud to try it. We're not convinced that what we could learn from each other or about each other is worth the risk. The stakes feel too high. So, I know what you're thinking. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate your theory. Now, you go first. Okay. Challenge accepted. In 2016, my team and I put together and took on the challenge and the obstacles and the difficult issues that plague us right now. The killing of unarmed black citizens by the police officers who are sworn to protect them and their communities. Hands Up brings together 7 monologues by black playwrights about their personal experiences with law enforcement. Stories of fear and anger, strength and survival. Stories that personalize rather than politicize. In Portland, Hands Up brought white audiences face to face with these truths, stories they were unfamiliar with, and they were shocked. It also created a space for people of color to express deeply felt resentments, rage, fear, and to share that anguish publicly. And for a few hours, we dissolved that hard boundary we all felt trapped behind. And just like me as that young actor, we saw that when we listen, we change. And then after every performance, we would do a talk back so people in the audience had a chance to process what they had just witnessed. And one night, a white guy in the back of the theater stands up and he says, "I'm an officer in the Portland Police Bureau." And I said, "Oh shit." Because he just spent 75 minutes listening to people like me talk about people like him. And you could hear a pin drop. And the officer's next words were, "I want every cop I work with to see this show." How do I do that? Not what you were expecting, right? So we decided we needed to perform Hands Up for the police, to bring the show directly to them. But the police had a condition. Before they would let us perform for them, they insisted that we spend a day going through tactical trainings to give us a glimpse of a day in their lives. Now, I want to be 100% clear here. I'm talking about taking a cast of young black actors into the belly of the beast. the nerve center of the police force. I mean, one actor came to me right before we went in. He said, Kevin, listen, my mother, she said, if I go in there, I won't come out alive. And she was serious. And we didn't have a plan. We didn't know what the outcome of this exchange would be, but I can tell you, as we stood there that day, lined up on opposite sides of the room, it didn't look pretty. So a police officer was assigned to each one of us to guide us as we moved through the day. We spent most of our time in a place called Scenario Village. It's like this big movie studio, this gigantic set with full-scale buildings and bridges and even patrol cars you can drive around. And this is where police officers are trained on how to engage in various kinds of situations. And it feels real, y'all. And we weren't just politely watching. One of my scenarios was to negotiate the issuance of a ticket to a black man who accused me of being racist. Now, hold on here. Now, believe me, he said that the reason I stopped him was because he was black. Now, I know that feeling because I've been there. And I don't care if that cop is white or black. I have felt that way too. But the truth is, on that day, I actually didn't know what he was until I walked up to the car. We shot cars, we shot guns, we shot tasers, and we mediated disputes. I was shot 3 times in the line of duty. But guess what? It didn't take me long to get quick at the trigger because I shot and killed 2 people as well. And oh yeah, the young man that was afraid to go into the building, in his scenario, he wound up shooting a civilian because he was utterly convinced that his own life was on the line. Now, you want to talk about embracing dissonance. This was it. And after all that, the police agreed to sit down and watch Hands Up. And as the officers watched, ooh, they squirmed. Arms crossed tight. Couldn't wait to get out of there. And when they did, we all filed into a room, afraid to make eye contact. And as we slowly began to speak, we disagreed more than we agreed. But we told each other stories. Many, many, many stories about what it's like to be me. And then we got it. We came there to be right and to teach. But what we got and what we needed was to just not be hated, to not be demonized, but to be seen with all of our passions, our disappointments, our flaws, our hopes, our visions for the future. So we spent the next year of our lives creating a sister show to Hands Up called Cop Out. It's a series of monologues written in collaboration with police officers that tell the experiences and lives of police officers. And so with those 2 shows, Hands Up on one, Cop Out on the other, we created a single show called Evolve that brings both sides together and puts them on the stage. And then we invited our audiences to have the same awakening that we've had. Now, did we plan this? Absolutely not. Was it hard? Hell yes. It hurt. It was like you were dying. But this is what I believe embracing dissonance is all about. Allowing yourself to move into the turmoil of what feels totally wrong without the confidence that you're going to be okay. That turmoil is dissonance, and it's evolutionary. Could it be that embracing this process is our next evolutionary benchmark? Because if we're going to survive and ultimately solve the myriad of problems that we face today, we must be willing to move toward each other, even when we profoundly disagree. So, my call to action is this. Connect with people who are very, 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 very different than you. Talk. Engage. Disagree. Listen. Then listen some more. Listen until it hurts. Let yourself be cast as another character. Embrace dissonance. We might just all evolve together. Thank you.